Good afternoon, my name is Chris Adlam with Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Maddie Glenn, the Director of Softwood Self-Publishing. Hello there, Maddie.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for giving up your time to speak to me this afternoon. And I guess my first question really has to be, can you tell us about Softwood Self-Publishing and what it is you do?
Okay, so at Softwood Self-Publishing, we help authors through the entire publishing process. So that would be editing their book, designing their book, printing their book, marketing their book, anything you need to get your book printed, published, and sold, essentially. In a nutshell, that's what we do.
No, I appreciate it. I always know it's never easy to describe your business in a nutshell, and I think you've really succinctly done that. And as I say, sort of, it's one of those things where if you asked me about what a publishing process was, I might have been able to name some of the parts you just did, but plenty that I couldn't. So what different roles and people do you have within your organisation to sort of take on and help, let's say, people who want to get things published through those different parts of the process?
So, okay, so there are various different steps required to publish a book. And I understand that some people, I say that that's what we do. We help authors publish their books, and most people don't know what that means, what actual steps are there. So, yeah, we have various different steps. The first is mostly about the writing of the book. So either coaching them or editing the book. So we have currently I've got two people. That's myself. I'm the sort of lead editor, but I've also got an editing assistant. So she would help me go through a client's book and edit it to how they've been asked. So there are 3 different types of editing, and she gets to edit it the way I've asked her to. Yeah, so she's a highly trained editor. She's got university degrees in English literature and things like that. So that's her role and part of my role. We have then the design process. We've got an illustrator who would either draw, say, fantasy maps or picture illustrations, or even just small illustrations around your book. So they would then be integrated into the design process. We have a designer who does the cover designs for us. We also have a specialist designer who does more complex cover designs. These are things like high concept fantasy covers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for certain clients, I recommend that person instead, because she's got she's really clever. She can make her own fonts and do really detailed stuff. She makes her own covers rather than using stock images. She makes her own stuff. So it's really specialist stuff. So we have her. She's actually in Australia, which is fun.
Amazing.
But most of the time we work with our designer who's in Ipswich. So yeah, he helps with the interior design, which is the formatting. This can be simply putting, like with a fiction book, it's mostly just text. So that can just be formatting text into the right shape and size. But also he works with picture books and more what we call high concept, which would be, say, journals or books with lots of tables or images in them. So he can do that, and he helps do that for ebook as well. So then he also does cover design. So that's the kind of designer element of things. We have 3 of those. We have the specialist in Australia, we have a designer, but we also have a separate illustrator. And illustration is such an interesting one because everybody has their different idea of what kind of illustrations you're looking for. So it'd be good to have lots of different people on board for that, so people could have a look at different portfolios. So I'm building that at the moment, that kind of portfolio of people. And then we have marketing. Yeah, let's go to marketing. So marketing is mostly helping clients on social media. And so we have what we call our creative director. He runs this department, and he helps with publicity, such as press releases, going to newspapers, talking to bookshops, getting them set up with distributors. But also he helps set up and run social media pages like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And he helps write strategies. So these are detailed documents about how you could run your social media pages. So he manages those those services, but we also have an assistant to help him with those. And then the last one we have is print, but we outsource this, so we don't do print ourselves. So there's quite a lot of different roles. There's 4 or 5 main departments within what we do, and there's quite a lot of different roles within them. Does that answer your question?
And then some. I mean, I think you've gone on to answer sort of what I was thinking of as my second and third questions. But no, that's all brilliant, and it's really interesting to know, because for a lot of people maybe either watching this video, maybe a lot of us have had thoughts about maybe writing a book or doing something like that. If we ever have the time, and in my mind, writing the book would be the toughest part, as you say. Let alone then suddenly we've got, as you say, no, we've got the marketing, we've got the print, we've got the distribution, and it's brilliant to know that there are people out there like yourselves who are there to help coordinate that.
That's the thing. When I started the business, I saw a lot of people saying, I thought writing the book was the hardest bit, but this is the hardest bit, the actual making of the book. So I thought, let's make a business that helps people through that, that helps people through every single step. At the time, this was in 2016, I was trying to self-publish my own book, and I had to find an editor from over here, a formatter from over here, a cover designer, and they're all in different areas. And I had to do all the research and put it all together somehow. And I just thought, why not I make a business that has everyone all in one place? So that's what I've been building, essentially. Something all in one place where you can start from the beginning and go all the way to distribution and selling all the way to the end with one company, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing to hear, and you've actually sort of led me nicely onto my next question, which is, if I could speak to you, as you say, as the owner, as the creator of a business, when, as you said there, described, you had an idea, you saw a gap in the market, you're like, okay, this is what I want to do. When it came to actually progressing and developing your business, what kind of sort of skills and challenges did you face along the way? Maybe things you had to learn that maybe you didn't expect to have to learn.
Well, I was lucky that I already knew how to edit. So I started as an editor. First of all, it wasn't, I wouldn't necessarily call this a skill, but I would say you need drive. You need the drive to do it yourself and the passion to do it yourself, because it's not easy and it's tiring, and you've got to love what you do. So that's where you start. In terms of skills, I developed a lot of skills over the time. Networking skills, so important to network with people. It's absolutely changed our business. The amount of support we have and help we have by networking. Networking isn't just about going to meet people to sell your products. It's not about that at all, I don't think. It's more about developing a friendship group of other people like you, who could help you. So that was a skill and a confidence that I built. I mean, I suppose real skill I learned was accounting. Sounds really boring, but I learned all about finance and the sort of a business around finance and how to think about taxes and profit and loss and all of that. I had to learn that just as I went along. So if you can do anything towards that beforehand, if you can just have a little bit of knowledge beforehand, that would really help.
No, that's really interesting to hear. And I've spoken to a lot of different people when I've been doing these employed talks who've set up their own businesses from various different beginnings and backgrounds and stuff. And yeah, all of them sort of say like, yeah, I had to learn how to market myself. I had to learn, as I say, accounting. I had to learn how to build my own website, all these kinds of sort of things, which and it's brilliant, the stories they tell me about how they learned to do it. Some will say, well, I spent an hour on YouTube and I was able to build my website because of that. It's just interesting, the kind of, as I say, challenges and things you have to jump through just to get your own business up and running.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our website, it looks I think it looks quite fancy now because I haven't designed it, but it's the same website. Technically, it's the same website that I designed 5 years ago, which was clunky beast, and it's just developed over time. And obviously now I've got a professional on it, that it's just developed over time. So that's something I could outsource quite quickly, because I managed to make it work, but I wasn't that good at it. So I outsourced the design of that quite quickly. Yeah, it's amazing the amount of skills you have to learn, and I'm trying to think back now, what didn't I know back then that I do know now? Yeah, I'm trying to think back, but
That's okay. I mean, sort of, you touched on this earlier about sort of how you really need a drive and a passion, and I sort of interpret the, the job you've got in a company you have as you say, like, you're in this industry because it's something you really care about, and it's almost like, I say, a passion job. And I work with a lot of young people. I've come across lots of young people who say they love to read, love to write. But what, in your words, or in your advice, is, what can young people be doing to help them take the steps from, oh, this is something I absolutely love as a passion or as a hobby, to actually helping it, shape towards becoming some part of their career?
Um, well, you know what I did? I was an editor. No, hang on, let me start again. I ran a magazine at university, editing people's articles for free. I did it for free because it was fun, and that was my hobby. And when I left university, I did do an editing course. It was like a online year course. But honestly, what I did, I went online and I edited free books, 5 free books. So I developed a
Oh, wow.
portfolio, and suddenly I'm a professional editor. So from those 5 free books, I learned so much. And because you're doing them for free, people are very aware that you're not considered professional yet. So they give you a bit of leeway, because they know that they're getting it for free.
Yeah.
So it means that they really can be your guinea pig and you can practice. But once you've done them, you can add them to your portfolio. And once you've got a portfolio, it shows that you roughly know what you're doing. So I would say that's a really good place to start for an editor. And I suppose, again, for a designer, just do some things yourself, pretend there's a project, and make your portfolio, just to show what what your skills are, what you can do. And then if you want to, you could either apply to various jobs if you can find them in publishing. It's a very competitive world, or just do it yourself. Set it up yourself. Yeah.
That's really interesting and a really useful insight. And as soon as you say, like, a portfolio of editing, in my head I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense, but I never would have thought of it, if you see what I mean. So that's a really
The difficult thing with an editing portfolio is you can't actually show anybody the text because it doesn't belong to you. That's quite hard, but you can, I don't know, use their cover designs or use their titles or get reviews from your clients, to prove that you actually did that work. That's
yeah.
how I did it. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And the next question I wanted to ask you, again, sort of speaking to you as as a business owner, as someone with experience in the field, if firstly, I'll put my hand up and say, I know there's no such thing as a typical day. Okay, I'm going to throw that right out there. I know that doesn't exist. But if you were to talk about what the good days in your role in your business look like, and what the challenging days look like, what are they?
A good day. Yeah, that is a hard question because every day has ups and downs, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, a good day, I suppose, is when you feel that you've got, I set myself deadlines every single day. And a good day is when you feel that you've done them all. So I
Yeah.
suppose a good day at the moment is a quiet day,
Yes.
which means that I don't have hundreds of meetings. I don't have lots of phone calls or distractions. They're fun, but they can get in the way of the deadlines. So I suppose a good day is when I really get down with somebody's manuscript and I get to really work hard on someone's manuscript. And then by the end of the day, I go, yeah, I did a good amount of work on that. But of course, in business, not just as an editor, but in business, a good day is when you get a lot of payments in. When a lot of your clients
Yes.
send the payments all in one day, you really reap the benefits,
Mhm.
I think a challenging day is when you have a lot of meetings all at once. They could be in person and they could be on Zoom, and there could be a weird mixture of both, which means that you're having to jump from one thing to the next really quickly. Your brain has to switch gear very quickly. But also on those days, typically, you'll get a million emails. So you're having to think about complex emails, the next talk, the next discussion you're having, and just switch your brain really, really quickly. And if somebody were to ask you a question about something completely unrelated in the middle of that, you can have a meltdown. Your brain just can't do that much at once. They are the really tough days when everybody wants a piece of you, and that does happen quite a lot, I have to say. Everybody wants your email. Everybody wants a bit of an update on their project. Everyone wants to talk with you or to meet with you, or have a Zoom, or have a phone call, have a something, and it's just like, I can't do everything at once. So that they're the really tough days, but they're really good days. I don't know. You manage to get your emails done. You manage to get your deadlines done. Things are a bit smoother, and you go home going, what actually happened today? Not a huge amount, but it was good, you know. So
I can relate to that a lot. I think sometimes the best days for me are just when the days when the things that I planned to get done got done. If you see what I mean, nothing else crept up. No one else wanted me. I actually wanted to get A, B, and C done, and I got A, B, and C done. So
it's I have to say it's a rarity at the moment, but it's a great day.
And just coming on to my final question, really, Maddie, and I've asked this to all the employers I've spoken to, and you've already spoken to me a little bit about your sort of, your career path, sort of how you got to where you are. And imagine you could go back and speak to, let's say, I don't know, 17, 18-year-old Maddie. You're about to go out on your career journey. So taking into account sort of lessons you've learned, successes you've had, mistakes you might have made, what's the one piece of career advice you would give to your younger self?
It might be about confidence in networking, because I joined networking to date. I mean, when I was 17 or 18, I didn't think I'd be running a business. That wasn't even at all in my mind. That was the thing that my brothers did. My brothers were the business people. I wasn't interested. So I went to university and I wanted to be a writer. I am a writer, but that's all I wanted to be. But I think back then I just wanted to have fun, and I didn't really think about my future. I didn't really think about the connections I could make. So I think I would want to go back and say, no, that was a good connection, keep that one, or stay friends with that person, intentionally stay friends with that person, try and develop those things. I got better at that. By the end of my third year at university, I was doing so many different projects outside of university, so I got better at that, but they were nothing to do with the career I do now. So I think I would go back and be like, think about your future, think about who could, remember that what the saying is, not what you know, it's who you know. And they can really take you places, the people who you know. So maybe it's about confidence.